love, you're not planning and taking action, you're not building the structure to sustain it, then you're just talking, but you're not actually doing it, right? So the Proverbs 31 woman, she planned, she scheduled, she invested, she worked with strategy. She worked with strategy. And Nehemiah, we know he was building the wall, but he didn't just pray for a wall, he built it with, he had a plan, he had an order, and he went out and he day by day, he was building that wall. And when distractions came, when the enemy came and was trying to get him off of his assignment, he said, nope, I cannot come down to you. I'm doing a good work. And so I'm doing a great work was what he said. Hi. He said, I'm doing a good work. And so he didn't, this, in the same way, you do not want to succumb to distractions when you're building. All right. So yeah, routines are not restrictive. They are the release valves for the life of freedom you desire. All right. It really is. And like I mentioned earlier on, but when I started this live, I've made several mistakes. I was able to transition into my business full time. I went from a registered nurse in the ER and as to a coach, and I was able to transition with less than 9 months. However, there were a lot of things that I learned after the fact, and I've been working now full time for 4 years. And there's so much that I've learned after resigning that I now teach my clients, because there were so many belief blocks that I had to overcome, so many mistakes that were happened that I did, that I now prevent my clients from taking and making the same mistakes because I've already made them. And so building your business, building a structure to sustain your business is very important. And so that's the second point. The third point that I want to make is sustain by faith, right? So it's one thing to step by faith, another thing to build by faith. And then third, you want to sustain it by faith. And you sustain momentum by by understanding. And I touched on this earlier, and it took me some time to realize this, but recently I was actually coaching some clients, and as I was coaching them, I also got breakthrough, because I listen, I am a product of my own product. What the tools and the resources that I help my clients with is the same tools and resources that I use and still use daily, because they work. And it doesn't matter what stage of business you are, whether you're just starting, whether you're trying to hit your first 10K months consistently, or you're scaling to 50K months, 100K months. It doesn't matter. With every new level of business, you need a new belief system that's going to sustain that business, right? And so what I realized, what the Lord revealed to me by the grace of God, was that whenever I get bored with something, I stop. And I think it's just basic human nature, right? That's just basic human nature. Like you're bored with it. You're like, I'm tired of doing this now. What? That right there is the key. That is the key. And I mentioned before how my mentor, he's a billionaire, and he's like, boring brings billions. And that's what it is. It's in the boredom. It's doing the same thing over and over and over again, right? Sustaining by faith. Sustaining by faith. Because when you are in momentum and you're doing the same things over and over and over again, this is where you get bored, right? You get bored with it. Boredom means that you're mastering it. Boredom means you are mastering it. And one of my other mentors, Myron Golden, my coach, he says, money follows mastery. And so the way the Lord was revealing it to me, he's like, Janelle, like when you get bored, you stop. And I need you to keep staying momentum, which is why momentum is my word for 2026. My momentum. Let me know in the comments also what your word is for 2026. Momentum is my word for 2026. The Lord showed me momentum leads to mastery, which leads to multiplication. And I had another coach who said that. She's like, when she's bored, she realizes that's when she masters it. And that's when her message becomes known, right? That's what she's like, that's when my message becomes known. Like people are starting to now know me for that message. And so when when you feel like you're repeating yourself over and over again, Your audience doesn't feel like that, right? But it's in the mastery of your message that your brand becomes known for that. And so once your brand becomes known for that, that's when the multiplication happens, right? And so momentum, your everyday, day in, moment by moment momentum is what leads to mastery. And from that mastery comes the multiplication. All right. And so momentum, hello, how are you? How are you? So momentum is staying faithful when emotions fade. Momentum is doing it again, even after a bad day, right? Even if you're posting and there's crickets, show up again, stay in momentum, keep going, don't stop, post again, right? Even when you're bored, right? Momentum is consistency, even in boredom. Keep going. Your momentum has to be protected, and it's protected by building out structure, building out systems, and building out routines, right? That is how you're going to see the business breakthrough. Don't stop when it gets bored. Keep going. That is where mastery comes in. That is where mastery comes in. And as a result of mastery, that is the multiplication. That's when the money flows. All right. Because the moment that the moment that you start, you're going to find so many distractions. I titled this live, how to stay consistent in your business even when life is chaotic. Because trust me, when you're right at the brink of breakthrough, that's when the enemy is going to come with all these distractions. All right. Life is going to it's going to start happening. When you're gaining traction, when you're staying in momentum, when you're gaining mastery, life is going to happen. There's going to be distractions. There's going to be discouragement. There's going to be disappointment. There is going to be attacks that want to slow you down, but it's so vital that you stay in momentum. All right. And so that's what I have for you today. This is the year that you stop starting and stopping, right? No more starting and stopping. This is the year that you stay in momentum. Stay in momentum. All right. And so I want to invite you into the first step of my Resign coaching program. And inside of my Resign coaching program, the very first step is the resignation roadmap.